Hello, everybody. Looks like we have a quorum. That's good because this is a very important session. I guess some of you may have heard. I'll start with this. Let me let in people as they add on here one at a time, hopefully. And we'll get to the review of how the exam is going to be given and how to study for it in just a couple minutes. But some of you might have noticed that we all got, I assume you did, faculty got, hi, that we got a notice that students could not access their student portals. And I thought, oh no, that's going to make this session impossible. But they fixed it, IT fixed it. So I'm sure it wasn't the college website or some other issue with the server. So the point is that's taken care of. And this will be recorded, is being recorded right now, and will be posted, as a couple of you have asked, on YouTube. I'll probably do it by Thursday to give you a little extra time. If you want to go back and watch, even though you will already have seen it and had a chance to ask any questions, you can still, of course, you might think of other questions, in which those I will answer by email or phone. No one ever calls, but my voicemail number is at the top of the syllabus, and I check it several times a day. So that's another option. But I always check my email before a test, and I will send you the test sheet, which you do need to do one of two things. So let me see, wait a minute, let me let in Josu. Okay, here's what is the most important thing about this test. It's in real time. I said that at the end of the class on Monday, but mea culpa, you know that phrase, some of you, right? This is on me, that I had two classes that were going to be two sections of the same class, and one of them was going to be in the evening. So somehow it's my oversight that on the syllabus. So let's do this first before anything else. If you weren't here on Monday or you logged out early, please now, or everybody double check, take your pens, please, let's all do this together, and flip to the page where it talks about the midterm, which is the third page under week 7. The midterm is on Monday. So this is important. The start time will be 3:10, not 6:45. That would have been the evening class. I apologize. I just didn't catch it. But I sent everyone an email, and I'll send it 2 more times. And you're hearing it again now live. So everyone, if you didn't already, so you don't have any reason to get confused at all, the test is during the normal class time because this is not an asynchronous class. That's why it has to be during the time frame for this class, which is from 3 to 4:30. So the actual first slide will be on the screen at 3:10. So you should log in by 3:05. I've already sent an email about that after the class on Monday. I will send a couple more reminders. Okay, so cross that out. And then, of course, the session, the log session, actually, I'll probably show the first slide at 3:15 to give people a little more time to log in. If they're coming from whatever, from work or picking up kids from school, whatever, you guys all have a life. So, that way you have an hour. I will be here for the real time until 4:30, and then I'll stick around after that for any follow-up questions. But the point is, you have until midnight once you've seen the slides and taken, whatever time it is that you want to during that hour and a half, roughly hour and 20 minutes. For the test is geared for 50 minutes. So time and a half, I know a couple of you have that option, would be, if you do the math, right, an hour and 25 minutes, and you'll have up to an hour and a half before the last slide is off the computer screen. So that's going to, in other words, give you plenty of time to take your initial answer, identify the slide and start writing your essays about it. But then you'll have another, 7.5 hours, right? From 4:30 until midnight to correct, check, rewrite whatever your answers, put them into a PDF and send them to me at markw@aol. Okay, that's the way that of course, any assignments have to be sent as a PDF. So that means it's really important that you all know you're going to get the actual test sheet, and I'll say it slowly and repeat it, sent to you. I'm going to do it Saturday. I used to wait till Sunday, but the test is Monday. You want to have a couple of days over the weekend to open that PDF, and you either just download it or print it out. If you want, in other words, you have 2 choices. Here we go. 2 choices of how to answer the test. Well, 2 days, maybe I'll do it Friday, but I can't do it too soon because at this point I've got a few other things, like all your papers coming in from 2 sets of classes, including a bigger in-person class. So you'll have more than 48 hours is what I'm saying to just open it up now. Now for that's a good point that Tanya raised. Once in a while, some people's inbox doesn't open or allow a student in that individual student's case to open a PDF I've sent everyone. This time, I am telling you up front, don't panic if that happens. Just email me because I will be checking my email every day this weekend. I usually don't check on Sundays, it's family day, but I will be checking it. So anytime up until even late Sunday evening, midnight, if you didn't get the test sheet, I will send it to you individually. That's what's worked. I know that a couple of you recently had asked me to resend some documents that way because your own inbox in your student portal did not have did not allow you to download. I don't know why. It's nothing I have control over, but that's the backup. So you're going to have more than 48 hours before you should have by Sunday night or at the latest Monday morning, but I assume you all have other activities in the morning Monday. So by Sunday night, you should have done one of two things to be prepared for the test. Okay, and I'll say it slow and repeat it. You have two choices on how to take the test in real time. You can hand print your answers. Please don't use cursive. I don't care if your third grade teacher told you had the nicest, neatest cursive of any student they ever had. It's always harder to read cursive. So some of you don't even use cursive, never even probably tried, right? But print neatly. If you're gonna write your answers out, on the paper, you print it out. If that's your choice, you have that option, of course, while the slides are on the screen, and then you can go back and decide, do I want to submit that set of answers that I hand printed? Please make it in black ink. Blue ink is and red ink, forget it, can't read that. So make it black ink. All of this will be another 2 more emails to remind you of this, but I'm telling you everyone now, which is that you have 2 choices of how to send it to me. As a screenshot, if you just want to go ahead and send to me the actual hand printed answers on each page, it's pretty straightforward. Now that's something you've all been doing since probably middle school, at least. The screenshot of each page and then turn that into a PDF and forward it to me. Okay, everybody got that's option 1. But imagine a majority of you will just do it as a Word doc or some kind of doc, digitally actually type in your answers while the slides are on the screen and then correct them if you choose. Again, you'll have so much time. You'll have like 8 hours almost after the last slide before midnight on Monday to submit them. So if you do it that way, then it's already a doc and that has to be done as a PDF. And of course, you just forward the PDF to me again before midnight. Pretty straightforward. But I don't want to rush through this. That's what we're here for, to answer any questions. Does anyone have any questions about those 2 options of how to, put your answers down onto the test and how to send it to me?
So we can make it can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
We can make it a PDF like on Google Docs or something?
No, Google Docs isn't, right? I might have to consult with my daughter here. Google Docs is a different format. I think PDF, it's you've submitted, I believe. Yeah. And then you can write it, answers online or in digital format as Google Docs. But if you send it to me that way, I can't accept it. It's not my rule.
Okay.
Also. Yeah, so it's a good question.
Because there's a PDF option on Google Docs.
I thought there might be. Thank you. There we go. See how?
Yeah, there is a Google, because I've done it so many times.
Good. Everybody hear that? Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, that's what is good about college teaching, because when I taught high school in Oakland for 10 years. And boy, I'd have to repeat things a dozen times. Now,
Yes,
it happens, adults can't always be focused, but you're very focused, this group, all of you, especially the ones making comments and questions. It's helpful. Did everybody hear that? That if you do answer your test questions initially in a Google Doc, there's an option.
Yeah, PDF.
Yeah.
Several options.
Yeah, but PDF is the only way I can accept them, and that's the college.
Got it.
Well, yeah, okay, good. So that's the first order of business, is how the test answers you have need to be submitted. And make sure you don't wait till 11:59, because sometimes it takes a while for things to go through. If I were you, I wouldn't wait past 11 or 11:30.
Because
Most of you aren't up that late. I am. I'll be checking my
sometimes,
yeah. Yeah, life again requires different types of schedules for different people. But the point is that I need them logged in to me or sent. I mean, it'll show what time you sent them, even if sometimes it takes 10 minutes for it to be received in my end, it'll count. Don't push it
Wait,
too close, okay? Midnight is a cutoff I have to stick to. Yes, questions?
so when on the day of the test, you show the slides, we write the meaning and the formal analysis of the
Right.
certain slides you
Right,
show.
like you did on your papers that you're
Yeah.
gonna turn
And
in.
then we just email it. Like, is there any part that's multiple choice? Is there anything like that?
Yeah,
Or is it
I'm gonna
strictly?
get to that. Good point, and that's what we're here for. I will show you physically a printed copy of what it's the same format as last semester, the first midterm. Now, the second midterm is a whole new procedure that we're required to use, and that'll take some explaining, but that's weeks from now. That's in November, so let's not worry about that. Your first midterm is going to be pretty straightforward. Yes, there'll be true, false. So why don't we go ahead? If you want me to do it now, I usually do that after we cut the list down, but we could have some late arrivals, and I want you all together, us together as a group, to cut down by at least, let's see, what did I put in writing? I said, my goodness, 50%. No, 30, sorry, 30%. I said 30, yeah. It's almost a third. I'll probably do more than that. Of the slides that are currently on the list that you are supposed to study, that might not more than 8. There'll only be 8 of those on the first midterm. I'm going to cut that list down by, probably over 30%, but that's what I put in writing. That's my promise to all my students. And that'll make it a lot easier because you don't even have to think about those slides. We'll do that as a group in a few minutes. But since the question is out there about what the test looks like and how it's structured, here we go. I'll hold these up and keep them, close enough to the screen, hopefully that, so I have to remember the backwards thing. The first section is slide identifications. You're going to have 2 whole minutes, and it used to be 1 minute. When I started teaching here, that's how much time they gave students to identify slides on their midterm or final. I give you guys 2 minutes. And that's more than enough because it's an open book, open note test. Remember, you can have any book or any document. Obviously, you want the syllabus in front of you. And so you identify them the way they are on the syllabus. Exactly. Whatever those first 5 slides will be out of the list, that the ones that we don't cut. And we'll cut the ones that you don't need to study in a few minutes. Okay, so I'm holding this as steady as I can. So that's section 1. So you can do the math. There's 5 of those, 5 slide identifications. You don't write anything more than just the artist or location, the title, and the date. The date could be rounded to a 0, that most of the dates are from, but not most of them actually. You can just write the correct decade, but you have the exact date on the syllabus and it's right in front of you. Make sure you keep the syllabus next to you while you take the test. Okay, so that's 10 minutes. See, so you really want to log in on time, because if you log in late, that's a problem that you might miss the first 5 questions. Then there's a true false section, and I am not going to show you what the questions will be on it. That's when you'll get the printout of this or the doc sent to you as a PDF over the weekend, which I said, let's just say to be safe by Saturday. I may do it Friday night, but anyway, the point is, let me turn this around so it doesn't confuse you. That's the roster. I'm trying to cover up the actual questions that are going to be on. So you'll have plenty of time to look up, from where do these come from? Your definitions. And we're going to cut that list down too. So 5, that's all you're going to have is 5 statements, which are in essence taken, they are taken from the list of terms to know. Those that we don't cut, which we're going to be doing, as I say, in a few more minutes. Whatever's left over, you should have that list of terms in front of you. And then you'll just look and say, is that correct? Is that definition accurate? Is there any part of it that's wrong? If it is, it's false. If the whole thing is correct, based upon the list of terms that you've all been writing each week as I give you those definitions. So that's part 2. And that I give you 10 minutes. And that one is really pretty easy. Plus it's printed out for you. So you could go back and change your answer anytime before midnight if you choose. Okay, so that's part 2. So it's a 3-part test. Then the third part is the part that you'll have the most time on. And that's the slide analysis, which, as you just said, I forget who that was commenting a moment ago, who asked about the format of the test. You said it correctly, that you're going to have, in real time, you'll have 15 minutes, but you'll have much more time to go back because you'll know what the slides are. It doesn't take 15 minutes to write down the title of the 3, and that's all it is, 3-slide essay questions. So you identify them on the top line, and then you have as much time as you need up till midnight to think about, do I make sure did I cover all of the requirements for each of these slide essays? But I'm giving you guys a break, and I'll restate this at the time of the test, that I don't expect you to cover all 10 elements of composition in a real-time test. Okay, and it says right on the exam that you are expected to include at least six elements out of the 10. That's not that much. 6 elements is not, but just over half that you need to identify and give examples of. In other words, rather than on your papers where if you want an A, you've got to cover all 10 in the list of 10 elements of formal analysis, all you have to give me on the test essay answers is 6 out of those. The 6 that you can see the most easily, that you're most comfortable writing about. I will repeat that, but it's right here on the exam sheet you'll be getting 2 days or more before the test. So that's the last part, and you get plenty of time to, start your answers. But even if you don't finish, you can go back up till midnight or a little before midnight to fill in the rest of the answers, take your time, or change them, even if you think you want to do that, and make sure you've, of course, converted it to a PDF. We could just cover that, and then send me your answers in. Now, I've decided to give you guys one more extra credit option. I wasn't going to do this, but I figure this is the first time we've had some of these requirements where we have to have 3 exams instead of 2, and the papers have to be longer than they used to. So because of that, I'm going to give you guys, I don't want to say an early Christmas present. I mean, every store I've been in has already got Christmas ornaments up. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, early Halloween, my daughter says. Here's what I'm going to do. There's an extra final optional question. You don't have to do it. It's worth 5 points, and it's a no-brainer. It's a slide that isn't from the syllabus. It'll be just a slide of a real time, place, or person, and I'll tell you exactly who and where that slide is about. And then if you write 5 sentences, like a short story, anyone can do that. And it's not going to be graded for grammar or spelling or content or originality. If you give me 5 or more sentences in a short little paragraph about that slide, and I will tell you where it was taken and who's in it. So you could just write that, or hopefully someone will use your imagination. Almost everybody here has a fertile imagination that they have used in a class, I assume. You'll get 5 extra points. So what if you missed one of the true false, or even 2 of them? You could still easily get an A if you do the extra credit, but it's optional. That slide will be on the screen for at least 20 minutes before
So it's your slide you're going to put on the screen?
Yeah, the one that you don't have to do any analysis, no dates, no facts. I'll go ahead and tell you, it's been, most students tell me it's one of the more interesting, I will say, fun. So
okay.
Option, but you don't have to do that. If you figure you're confident that you've got a good grade, whatever it is you hopefully all want an A, before the extra credit slide, you can log off and not even wait to see the extra credit slide. But I urge you to do it because you never know. An extra 5 points, they'll be the same thing, will be available on the final 2. So in a way, I'm boosting your options for extra credit up 10 more points if you count the 5 for the at the end of the first midterm, and 5 more. I'll have another extra credit different slide, of course, for the final exam. So you actually have an option of 60 extra credit points if you choose to exercise the maximum. I think that's pretty lenient. I've been told that by some other teachers I'm too generous with extra credit, but it's part of what art is about, because obviously if you see a slide or a photo or whatever, an actual painting or a sculpture or a building, when you're in the real world, you usually have some impression of what it is and you could make up a story. Well, in this case, I'm going to give you it's when I say no brainer, it's really an easy extra credit 5 points, but you don't have to do that. That'll be the last slide at the end, and it'll be very easy, but it's optional. Okay, so now we've done the second task, but any questions, which is how the test is going to be given. It'll be 3 pages that if you print it out, you'll have 3 pages in front of you, and you can write, extra pages if you want, of course. But don't forget, if you're using the hand printed method to answer your questions, remember, print neatly in black ink. Then you need to do a screenshot. Don't forget, though, some people send me screenshots where I can't read the left or right hand margin, rather, right hand that's cut off. Well, then I can't see the full sentences. Make sure your screen, if you use that method, the screenshot converting that to a PDF before you email it to me, that you double check that the whole page is visible in each of the pages before you send it, okay? Yeah, who is unmuted? Here, I'll do mute all again, maybe that'll take care of it. Because you can unmute yourself, as you know, because Tanya was just, and some of the other people were asking. Now, again, pausing, taking our time, no rush here. Any questions about the way the test is going to look? It's going to be sent to you by, I'll just say Saturday, so you'll have, 2 whole days before the test to look it over and either print it out or just keep it as a doc, some kind of doc, Google or Word doc, and then answer the questions when the slides are on the screen on Monday. And that's pretty clear, I think. But any questions about that? Because we haven't gotten to the other 2 processes or tasks, which are to cut down those lists, the study list, both for the syllabus and on the list of terms. We'll get to that in a moment. Any questions now about anything we just covered about the test and the format and how it's going to be given?
Is there going to be written instructions when you send us the paper?
They're on the test. Yeah, I'm
They
glad
are.
you asked that. Yeah, I will give you an email reminding of how to submit it and how to. I will do that. So you get both. You'll see, it's like as thorough as anybody could possibly be. You'll see, because so important point you're raising for clarification. You're going to have plenty of opportunities to double check that, okay, now I know what I need to do when the slides are on the screen. You're going to have that information in the email combined with the attachment that will be a PDF of the test sheet itself. And of course, you've got this is going to be posted on YouTube by Friday, if not sooner. And then on the test sheet itself, the same information, the same instructions. So you're going to have plenty of ways of reminding you or reinforcing what I'm saying now. Okay, hope that helps.
Did you say test sheet?
Well, there are 3 pages, like I was
Oh,
saying.
okay.
before, right, yeah. Sheets, if you want to.
Okay.
Yeah, plural, yeah. First page, slide ID. Second page, I can't show you what they are because those are
Okay.
the right, true, false. And then the last, actually, it's 4. I think I made it a 4-page doc because some people need that extra page to answer the essay questions if your answers are longer than some people's. But it's 2 short paragraphs. Formal analysis should be a separate 6 of the 10 elements of composition, a separate paragraph, and then the meaning. Please keep them separate. And you've all done that on your paper. Speaking of which, I double checked and I saw, but what was it, like 2:30 that recently? A couple of you have already sent, kudos to you, have already sent your papers in. I will confirm those who sent them in if you ask me to, but I'm going to assume that, at this point, you probably want me to do that. And I won't have time today. I might have, because I have a class, an in-person class. It's really a large class, and they have to go over the same stuff we're going over, and their papers are due tonight too. And that's here in Annalee Hall where I'm sitting. So it'll be tomorrow before I can confirm. But I know, without calling out names, good for you guys who's already a few, just 2 or 3 I think have sent, and several of you sent samples in early, and that's going to almost guarantee those people will get A's because I gave them feedback if they were missing 1 or 2 items that were pretty well written, all of the advanced ones that I've seen, and I responded to all of them. I said by 5 p.m., but I even had one come in at 9:30 last night, and I responded to that. But I won't be able to do that today because of back-to-back classes and in between prep, of course. So all right.
I sent mine.
I definitely, yes, right. And I've already given everyone the same information. So the fact that someone missed that, what can I say? I mean, I said it about twice, at least maybe 3 times. And also at this point, remember that any one assignment is less than, well, no more than a quarter of your grade, not counting extra credit. And when you do extra credit, even if you didn't get an A on your first, paper that's due to by tonight, you still can make almost, hardly anybody's going to need to make up 60 points on any of the assignments unless they just don't prepare, don't study, and don't take the time to write the answers carefully. Not many students have had that problem, but you have those extra credit options, and that's usually a way people can raise what is one to raise your grade, even if you had one bad test or paper.
Mark,
An A, you can still get an A in this class. Yes, thank you. Go ahead, Tanya.
I feel like I should have extra credit because I had to go into San Francisco to get my information.
Yeah, so did several of the students. Okay, I know. Yeah, I got to keep, obviously the rules are the same, but yeah, I got extra credit from a lot of you, but nobody's done more than maybe, well, one person I think in this class has downloaded both my art themed novels. So that's the most extra credit, but there's still more room than that. Remember, it's up to 50 points for the printed options that I went over the first night of class that are on your course grading handout. And then it's another 5 more each on the first midterm and the final. So that's 60 points. That's a huge cushion, if you want to call it, or margin. So I think we've covered the first 3 tasks, or is it 2? Yeah. We need to get to the list, but I'm not rushing here. Any other questions about anything we've already covered? Because we haven't gotten to the reduction process, I call it, where we reduce the slides, and that'll take a while. We're gonna do that slowly, carefully, and I'll repeat it so everyone knows and has exact same information. What might be on the exam, what to study and what not to even worry about. But before we get to that, one more time, any questions about anything we've already covered?
I have a question.
Sure.
For my paper, this isn't related to the test, but for
That's
my research
fine.
paper, I was trying to find like written sources for my painting, but I really had trouble finding like, is it okay if I use the Bible as like a written source?
Oh, absolutely.
Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Any
Cool.
book
Thank
or
you.
any magazine or any a newspaper article or museum brochure, those are the main
Okay.
types of printed sources, or encyclopedia articles. But you already, that's it. The answer is perfect. That's fine.
Okay,
Obviously,
thank you.
that is a pretty 2,000-year-old printed source, and it's been now how many, every language I think on earth it's been printed in. So you absolutely, and I don't have to guess that was an original printed source, in case some of you don't know that it started out being handwritten by disciples 2,000 years ago in, well, whether it was Israel or Greece or even Italy. The disciples we're talking about, the followers of Jesus, they wrote those things out. Yeah, that's absolutely perfect kind of source. Yeah, but so our Encyclopedia Britannica starts out as always a printed edition, but you do need to say that. Maybe with the Bible, I kind of think that's obvious, but
Okay,
yes,
thank you.
absolutely, that's the perfect source. So one of the many that should be fairly clear as originally a printed source. Okay, any other questions now? And including about your papers, please don't hesitate. Yes.
Are all the Encyclopedia Britannica, is that all considered print, even when you find it online? And do we need to write with Encyclopedia Britannica that it was originally in print?
Yes, you do.
Verify that
Thank
it
you.
was.
Everybody hear that? Yes, if you use Encyclopedia Britannica and you access it online, which is what most people are going to do anyway, that's why they have it both editions, both the printed edition and then an online version. You need to say that in parentheses. Again, I kind of know that, but maybe my readers might not, or it might slip through the cracks. So yes, you should always put in parentheses, originally from printed source, and you don't have to get more detailed than that. But that's a good point to clarify.
Okay.
I said that in the actual, 5 requirements for your papers, but it's always good to double check and, verify that, confirm.
Also, can I ask something?
Sure, absolutely. That's what we're here
I heard that you said that someone's bibliography wasn't enough. Like I don't really. I was just wondering what you meant by that, because like what else do you want in the bibliography besides just like the sources?
I'm not sure. I'm trying to parse I mean, it's important to clarify here. That's why we're here, but I'm not sure what you mean by not enough. I don't think I ever used that word unless they didn't give me 3 or whoever was reading them. I assume.
Well, they had 3 sources. it just got me concerned that we had to start annotating it or something, or like add
No, you
more
don't
to
have
it.
to annotate it, but you have to list them with MLA format. Oh, by the way, sorry, my consultant here, what was that source we talked about on the way up here? Yeah, is that it? Are you sure? There is a slight variation on the noodle bib. I put this in writing and I've said it several times in Cloud, at least twice. There's noodle tools. And that noodle tools, .com, right? Yeah, well, if you just do a Google search on a noodle, either noodle bib, which is the old way of saying it, and it still qualifies, what it'll do is give you, you can all navigate websites better than I can. If I can do it, you can do it, which is to say, okay, now tell me how to cite in a bibliography with MLA format this kind of source, whether it's a book, magazine, newspaper, documentary, video, interview with an artist, lecture from any of the sources, you'll find the proper way to list them. And that's what you should check. But that's not annotating. That's just normal MLA format, right?
Okay.
Easy. Okay. MLA citing sources. Yeah. Go
What
ahead.
is he writing it on? Is he writing it on Google Docs or just?
I wanted to see that. The rest of that, I couldn't see the rest of it on the screen. Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah, there's, you know what, the other source, and I did put this in individuals who submitted their papers earlier. Maybe that's who I'm getting the question from. I didn't catch who it was. It just asked that question. Maybe that's
Tanya.
no, before you, the guy,
Hmm.
whatever his name, is an important point. Is that there's another way to do this, and that's to go to the SRJC, and know you can navigate this into their library link, I think it's called, right? And then the research desk, it's physically
Mhm.
possible to just walk into the library and you'll see it in front of you. But you
Mhm.
don't want to make a trip to the library in person, you don't have to. And you'll be able to, yeah, you'll see that. See, everyone see that? And then you'll be able to navigate that just like you could the noodle bib, or what was the other noodle tools, or even just you just Google MLA format, I've been told by some students. And then it'll get you to one of these other sites. I mean, there's so many ways now with the internet to double check, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you this. If you forget, I'll give you one example. It came up when I was responding to someone who submitted a paper earlier. Would be, for instance, if you have a book, an actual printed book, even if you're looking at the online version of it, but that's your printed source, you're supposed to have all these facts. Last name of the author, then first. You probably know this. I hope it was in high school. You guys did this, or even earlier. Then the title of the book, then the publisher. Yeah, I'm gonna have to mute this. I'm sorry. Sorry, I'll start over. First is the author's last name, then first name, then the title, full title of the book, then the publisher, then the city. It doesn't matter the order so much, except you do need to start with the author's name and the title of the book. And then you need to include in some order all three of the other facts about what and where that book was published, by whom. I mean, the publisher's name, whatever company published it, the year it was published, in the city, like London, New York, Paris, whatever. And that's it for a printed source. Now, obviously, when you do, most of you know this, right? But any internet source, you should say accessed, as in when you accessed it to use for your paper, the date you accessed it. But you know what? On that last one, I'm going to be flexible, because this is the first paper some of you've done in any kind of art analysis format. But when it comes to something like a book, it's pretty straightforward. If you forget to include the publisher and or the year it was published, you might get a point off. It's not going to affect most people's grades drastically, but still you should try to follow the right format. And I've given you enough examples of how to check online to double check that you did use the right MLA format for whatever type of source. Okay. Again, we're here to answer questions. So any other questions? I'm going to, excuse me, take a second here, so my throat's getting a little parched here. This is coffee. Okay, can we move on now to the reduction exercise? And that means we'll probably finish early enough that I'll stick around afterwards for any questions. But in case some of you, and I know many of you are still going to finish up on your papers between now and midnight, I want to make sure you know what you need to do. So these questions about your papers, absolutely. don't hesitate to ask if there's still any that are clear, but I think we've clarified pretty much all the main requirements for the paper. But again, if you think of something else, you can ask me at the end of this class live in real time on Zoom, or even by email. Well, I don't know if I can get back to you by email when I have so much else to do between now and then. I have an hour and 20-minute drive back to Berkeley. So I won't be responding to emails probably tonight. So if you have questions, you should be asking them now. I think we have nearly full attendance here. That's a good sign, very good sign. Okay, so can we now do this? Everyone take out, if you don't already have in front of you, your syllabus. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to cut down the total list by at least 30%. The only way to do that accurately is to count how many slides there are on the syllabus up until the week of the midterm next week. Total, I think everybody can do this. This is simple math, but I don't know what they're teaching in math anymore. I know my daughter got, all kinds of issues with the way they used to teach math, where you had to show your work. Here's the simple procedure that we're going to go to now, right now. I'm going to count how many slides. You want to count with me? Fine, but don't need to count out loud, right? How many are there now before we do the reduction? And then figure out what 30% of that is. And then that's how many slides we're going to cut. Then we'll do them 1 week at a time, slowly, and repeat at the end, the entire reduced or list, of slides. You should be crossing them out when we get to that with your pen or whatever marker. Yeah. So here we go. Everybody follow me. You want to count with me? You can. How many slides are there before we start reducing them by 30%? So here we go. I'm going to count week by week. Oh, this is easy. There are 36 slides up until this week before the midterm, in other words. So I'm going to go ahead and make it a nice round, even number. I hate odd numbers. Plus, I promise you I might cut more than 30%. So let's cut a third. That's as much as I ever usually do before the midterm. What is 1/3 of 36? Everyone can do that. 12. So we're going to cut 12 slides. All right. And we'll do it now. Everybody have your pen out and your, with your syllabus right in front of you. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and cut Luncheon on the Grass. And the reason is that that's from a period we're covering after the midterm in the second half of the semester. We haven't gotten to Impressionism yet. When we do, that slide will come up again. Okay, so week 1, here's what you're going to cross off. All right, everybody follow along and do this. The second slide down under week 1, Luncheon on the Grass, cross it off. Not gonna be on the test. Okay. Now, I probably should do the same with both of these other two. I am going to go ahead and cross off Guernica by Picasso, because that also might come up after the midterm when we get to 20th century painting. So that means you're crossing off 2 of the 4 slides for week 1 right now. The second and third ones, Luncheon on the Grass, we already did that. And then the one below it, everybody, Guernica by Picasso, cross that off. Okay. All right, moving on to week 2. I'm going to go ahead and cut Virgin of the Rocks because we have other Da Vinci's. I certainly wouldn't cut The Last Supper or Mona Lisa. Those are very high probability. I told you that during the lectures themselves, right? Very high possibility one of those two, not both, will be on the test, either slide identification or slide essay. So study those carefully, but cross off the first slide now under week 2, which is Virgin of the Rocks by Da Vinci. Okay. Again, when we finish, I will go over these all one more time, repeat the list, make sure you all got it accurately. Okay. And then I'm going to cut Giorgione, The Tempest. It's an interesting slide, but I told you there's no certain meaning. It's a mystery. So that's the last slide you see on the next page, right? Under week 2. So Giorgione, or Gigione, as my Aunt Indiana says it, is called The Tempest. Cross that off. The last slide under week 2. Okay, moving on. to week 3. This one's a little harder because these are so important. Let's see. I'm going to cross off Crucifixion of Eisenheim Altarpiece by Grunewald, partly because it's a long title. I try to give you guys a break that way, right? But of course, again, you'll have this in front of you, the syllabus. So everyone do that now. Week 3, we're going down to the 5th slide and crossing off Crucifixion Eisenheim Altarpiece by Grunewald, okay? And then I'm going to leave the next 2 and we'll cross off Return of the Hunters, right, by Bruegel. I don't know if we even covered that. I don't think we did. But in any case, it's not going to be on the test. And then I know I cut Villa Rotunda, even though I hated to do it, by Palladio, the one below Return of the Hunters. Villa Rotunda by Palladio. I'm leaving the last 2 there. So that's 3 slides again to repeat from week 3 crossed off. Crucifixion, Eisenheim Altarpiece, Return of the Hunters, and Villa Rotunda. All right, moving on to week 4. I'm going to cross off the Church of San Carlo. We have 2 by Borromini, and that was a black and white slide. Remember, I told you it's almost impossible to get a full photo of it from the streets of Rome. It's such a narrow intersection. So it was difficult to see all the details. So cross off the 4th slide down under week 4, which is Church of San Carlo. In others, we're leaving the other Borromini slide, Church of San Agni. So Church of San Carlo, the 4th slide on week 4, cross that off. Okay. And then I'm going to have to decide whether that this is a harder one to do. We may have to go back and cut 1 or 2 more. Church of San Agnes calling St. Matthew. I want to leave. There aren't that many slides that we've been able to get that are in the textbook in the Stockstead or any overview. They call those giant, comprehensive textbooks that emphasize the works of female painters. When there were dozens of them in each generation, only a few though became so famous that they made it into textbooks. That's changing for the better. There's a course here, you may know, it's a good course called History of Women in Art. I think it's Women Artists Through History. It's the only course now at this college offered that way, but I try to make sure I don't. So I don't want to cut Judith and the Maidservant. I'm going to leave that. And the other 2 are really important. So let's flip over to the next page, which is week 5. Let's see, The Jewish Bride by Rembrandt, because we already have The Night Watch. That is a very high possibility of being on the midterm. Okay, and then one of the other 2, I guess I'll cut St. Paul's Cathedral. It is somewhat similar to St. Peter's for some people. That might make it confusing. And then I guess I'm trying to decide if we need to cut 1 more. Well, let's see, how many have we just cut? If we cut 12, then we're done, and I'll repeat them. Okay, go back to week 1. I'll repeat the list in a minute, but let me count how many we just did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, we need to cut 2 more. So let's cut La Bohemienne by Halls. All right, and then I'm going to go back, let's see, to one of the earlier ones. Well, you know what? Let's go back to week 1. I hate to do this, but I'm going to cut the Guggenheim Museum by Wright. Even though it's not important, we cover Wright with at least 2 more slides when we get to 20th century architecture. So let's do that. Go back to week 1, and that means you're only going to have left from week 1 the Libyan Sibyl. That stays on the study list. Okay, everybody got that? Cross off the Guggenheim Museum by Wright at the bottom of week 1. That should get us to 12, which is more than 30%. That's a third. 2, 3, 4. Just double checking. I counted correctly. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, and yeah, that's a full third. That's as much. Okay, I'm going to read them all again now. So here we go. This is your chance if somehow you weren't focused enough to cross them off, that's fine, that's okay. Do now, please, double check your own list against, this is the actual reduction of 12 slides, removal of 12 slides in this order, week by week, okay? Week 1, cut 3, Luncheon on the Grass by Monet, Guernica by Picasso, and Guggenheim Museum by Wright, okay? That's for week 1. Moving on to week 2, cut Virgin of the Rocks by Da Vinci and The Tempest by Giorgione. Okay, but that's for week 2. Week 3, cut 3 more. Crucifixion, Eisenheim Altarpiece by Grunewald. Return of the Hunters by Bruegel, and Villa Rotunda by Palladio. Okay, going on to week 4. We're only cutting 1, Church of San Carlo by Borromini from week 4. And then week 5, we're cutting 3 more. La Bohemienne by Halls, The Jewish Bride by Rembrandt, and St. Paul's Cathedral by Wren. Okay, that gets us to more than 30%, right? Okay, so it isn't obvious. The third is 33.3%. Yeah, so that's as much as I've ever cut from any study list. So that, what does that mean? You only have 24 slides to study. That's not that many. Plus you'll have your book open if you want to, and of course your syllabus in front of you. So you'll be able to see the correct spelling of everything and the years, the dates. And so that means 8 out of that 24 will actually appear on the first midterm. Okay, before we move on, any questions? Hopefully now you all have that, and it's going to be posted on YouTube before the weekend, of course, probably Thursday night. I'll probably do that. So you can double check if you want to watch this over again for any reason. Okay, because we have one more task and then I'll stick around, of course. So we're going to end a little early, but I'll stick around as long as there are any other questions after we finish the last task. Okay, we're ready for that. That's the final thing to do today before you sign off and figure on what times to study. You know what I've been told? I think some of you already know this. Flashcards can help, but since the syllabus in the book, it's open book, you probably don't need to do flashcards. But what I found people find the most effective after 20 some years of teaching here, that students who get A's have told me almost every semester, or at least once a year, I hear this from more than 1 or 2 A students, that they don't study only once, but they don't just cram the night before. They review with a friend, or just you can do it on your own, of course, now that everything's open book at home, or with obviously the videos of all the lectures are posted on YouTube. This one included will be by Friday. So however you review, you should do it twice. That's what I was told. Once, maybe a couple days, 3 days before, and then once, not at the last minute, but sometime in the evening when you're rested on the night before the test. That's just a suggestion. It's not how everybody does their best work, but that's what I keep hearing students say works well for many of the students who end up with getting A's. Okay, so we're now taking out the last task for today is the list of terms to know, right, for this class. And we're going to do the same thing. We have to count how many of these terms there were, and then cut at least 30% of this list as well. Okay, and that'll leave the definitions you do need to know, which you will have out in front of you, and those will be the ones, of course, that might be on the true false section. I already covered that at the beginning of this lecture. If you joined late, then you can rewatch that part or ask me again after we finish this. But it's pretty straightforward that you'll need to have the definitions in front of you, as well as if you want to get an A, as well as the syllabus. And so here we go. How many terms did we actually cover? Not that many, so cutting a third won't be too many. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The 4 main features of Baroque could count as 4. It's really 1 item, right? Which is 9. Because why? Here's why. I'll tell you. If that appears, that list on the true false section of the midterm, I won't expect you to remember or write, even because you'll have it in front of you, so you could be able to see it, but you won't have to write all 4. It'll be something like true false, the four main features of Baroque art include, let's say, an incrustation of ornamentation and let's say bizarre individual techniques by the artist. No, the last one is not about Baroque, that's mannerism, which you already have that definition. So that would be a false statement. In other words, you aren't going to have to regurgitate or rewrite, copy all four of those elements. So that means, I'll do it again, but I think it's 9. That's not that many definitions. I cut the list down from previous semesters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I need to cut 3 and leave you with only 6 definitions, of which 5 will appear out of that list on the midterm. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and cut cherub. Okay. And mannerism. But I'm going to leave fresco. And you know what? Since we have high Renaissance, one of the other two, Renaissance or high Renaissance, the more important one I'm going to leave. And I think that will be, yeah, high Renaissance. Because high Renaissance is specifically the first 2 weeks is what we covered was Da Vinci and Michelangelo, people like that. That definition I've already given you. I'm not going to restate it now. You should all have those in your notes from each of the lectures. So let's cross off just the main definition of Renaissance as a separate true false question isn't going to be on the test. So there we go. There's 3 out of 9. I cut just a third of them. I'll say it again. We're not going to, you won't see a true false question relating to these 3 definitions from the listed terms: cherub, Renaissance, or mannerism. Okay, so that leaves you the other 6 that could appear on the true false section of the midterm, which is the second section that will be, remember the test is in real time and you want to log in by 3:05. So if you have any last minute questions, pretty much answered all of them, I think, but you'll get, again, restated the directions when I send over the weekend, let's say certainly Saturday, the test, PDF of the test itself, you'll get the instructions restated. All right, I'll repeat them. The list of terms to know. I hope you guys can all hear me, right? It's just 3. Cross off cherub on the first page, second definition down on page 1. Renaissance, right? And mannerism. That's it. There we go. Someone just confirmed that. Thank you, Megan. Okay, now here's a good time to ask questions regarding anything relating to your papers as well, because they are due by midnight. And I'm not going to be able to even check that I got them all. When I get home from an 11-hour day without a break at a 120-mile round trip commute, I'm pretty tired. So it'll be sometime Thursday afternoon when I confirm. I check, I log in all of the tests and then, start dividing them up into the ones I'm going to grade and some for the readers. Yeah, that's right. Everybody see that? High Renaissance could still be on the exam. And that's that period, from 1480 to 1520, during which the greatest artists of the Renaissance period, and that includes, Da Vinci, Michelangelo, Raphael, people like that. It's a good point you did to clarify. Yeah, that could appear on the true false section of the midterm. Okay, we've covered quite a bit, and our task we basically accomplished, but of course now it's open for anyone's questions that didn't already get clearly answered, or that maybe logged in late or something and still isn't clear, because we've done what we needed to do. Reduced both lists. Yeah. Okay. When did you send it, Kevin? Because I haven't checked my email today. I've been too busy. Well, I did briefly. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I sent my paper like 3 p.m. yesterday at the email that you post. That you sent us.
It could be either one or both, to AOL or to Outlook. You should read. Yeah.
Give me a second.
Well, I can't tell you now because we're, obviously I'm in the middle of a class and then I have to prepare, but I probably can check for you. Here's what I'll do. I'm going to write your name down. Okay.
No, yeah, I just want to make sure that if you receive the email, so when I send the paper
Yeah, what I'll
tonight,
do, you should always see it. Thank you for bringing it up, actually, because that's true for all my students in any of my classes, online classes. If you want to be certain that I got it, you should ask me to confirm, because I have so many things coming in all at once, as well as the in-person papers, physical papers. And I'm going to have a stack this high. Where are we going? Like that tonight. My in-person class with 40 students. It's best to do that. Now, if you send it already, and I'm going to check, I'll do that because you're,
well, that was
very,
not my final draft. It was just an example that I wanted to make sure. But yeah, I'll be sending my final draft before tonight midnight.
oh,
But
okay.
yeah,
But
Yeah.
if you want me to confirm that I got it, give me until tomorrow. Like I said, I won't be checking my email after about about 4 o'clock today. Well, it's almost 4 now, isn't it? Yeah, I meant 4:30, because then I have to segue into preparing for your in-person class. And there's a lot to do before that. Okay, someone needs to mute again. You're right. Now that I know how this works, hopefully that, all right, there we go. Yay, that's a great feature. I have to admit, it was my daughter that taught me how to do that. I didn't do that for the first 2 semesters or more that I was using Zoom. Okay, now that that slight distraction is off. Let's see. This is how actually my unofficial office hours. Well, no, I keep saying unofficial. It is. These are my office hours, along with checking my emails. But give me until Thursday afternoon to respond to any email you send, including confirming, if you ask me to, I will, that I got your paper. Almost always they come through if you send them as a PDF to either website, but it's better to send it to markw@aol.com. And if you want to back it up, you could also send it a second copy of it as a PDF, of course, to the Outlook, because it is a campus website. Did everybody notice how campus was shut down yesterday? That's another reason I don't use Canvas. Yeah, so that's why you need to submit them to me.
I have already sent mine.
Okay, yes, I know. I did see yours. So that's confirmation.
I hope I did it
Also-
right.
I will also confirm with you that I got it and could open it, but I'll do that tomorrow, okay? Because like I said, I've got so much before.
I always check it to make sure when I send it, I
Yeah.
open it up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, unmute yourself. I didn't mean to do it. There's still someone else talking, not you. Go ahead, Tanya. You've always done that. Yeah, I noticed that whenever you send me an email, I usually see it the same day or the next day. Anybody, not just any one of you. Anytime you send me extra credit or anything else, I will almost always confirm it, especially if it's an assignment like a paper or a test PDF. But you should openly request that in the email. It's just that way I have so much on my plate. I don't get overwhelmed and I say, oh yeah, right then and there, I double check, can I open it? Yes, okay, and then I just send you a 1-line confirmation, which I will do, Tanya, for your paper and everyone else's that asked me to, and maybe even more so. Okay. All right, now it's still time for questions because it's barely 4:01 now.
Are those, for those of us that have accommodations, you've already put the extra time in there?
Yeah, I have, based on the
Okay.
fact that you guys have until midnight. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, right. I'm sure you'll see, it'll be more than enough time. A lot of
Okay.
people won't even need beyond the end of the last slide, but you do have another 7.5 hours.
Okay.
if you want to wait till this one. Okay. All right, any other questions about stuff we've covered, either relating to the exam, which pretty much covered everything I can think of and everything you should know about how to study and how the test will be given already, or about your papers, which of course will do before midnight tonight if you don't want points off for being late. Now is your chance to ask any kind of questions that occur to you.
Okay, I'm gonna turn mine into a Google Doc and then do it that way.
Okay. Which one are you talking about now? You,
Oh, for the test.
the test, okay, yeah, right.
So I can answer all of them on the screen and not
That's
have to write
a
out
good thing.
anything.
Most people choose that. And then, of course, you'll turn
Easier.
that into a PDF and you'll have,
Yeah.
see, you guys get more time than the in-person class. And I've dealt with this with the department chair and the people that made us give more tests and longer papers. It's a secret committee that were meeting behind closed doors and nobody knew what they were going to do. It's okay. It's okay. It's actually makes some sense because this is a college level class. The minimum of 1,000 words instead of 500 for a research paper is pretty reasonable. I don't dispute that. So the point I'm making is that you might or might not, want to submit something or know before, but once you are in any class requiring any kind of online, I'm talking about classes, submission of assignments, there isn't any options other than PDF to make sure that all of us can open each of your assignments. And some people still forget and send me something in a different format, and I'll tell them, I said, I couldn't open it, so please resend it. And if it was sent before the deadline, I don't take points off. I mean, again, I suppose I could because it was not submitted in the proper format, but I'm pretty flexible about that. But please just try, all of you, to make sure you don't overlook the requirement of making your, final version of the exam before you submit it into a PDF and send it to, preferably to Mark W, because that'll get to me faster and it's easier to confirm. And if you want me to confirm one more time, ask me in the actual email where you send that, and I'll be sure to immediately upon getting it, as soon as I read that and open it, that I could received it and that it was readable. Because glitches happen. Don't we know that already this semester? Okay. Where are we? 4:05, but yeah, this is still a little earlier than we usually end, but that's what we're here for. Is any remaining questions? I think we still have one more. Let me do that. One more mute process. All right. I'm gonna just wait another 90 seconds to see if anybody thinks of any other really overriding urgent questions.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I think I may have, you said for the biography that we had to put where it was from. And I think I only had 3. I forgot to put where it was from. So I'm gonna go back and look.
Yeah, good idea.
And if I have to, I can resend it.
Yes, you have plenty of time. Yeah. Oh, I didn't finish the thought. See, you just reminded me. There's so many things to cover, but that's why we're here. What is the reason that people in the in-person class, okay, have a little less time? I give them until the end of a class, which means if they need time and a half, as some of you do, they get to go to a separate quiet room and then finish their answers because it's part of the arrangement for accommodations. But they still have to turn it in to me in person if they want me to grade it as turned in on time. So they get less time. They get 2.5 hours and you guys get 7.5 hours. Why is that fair? Because you have to convert all of my online classes, each student, documents from either a hand printed one from a screenshot into a PDF. Still getting a lot of back noise here. I don't know why that keeps happening, but here we go. Okay, one more time. And that is why it's fair to even it out. The playing fields have to be even for all students, of course. That's, not even has to do with equity and all that. It has to do with fairness, basic fairness. So the students who, have online to do that conversion process, it can take a while. And, or, you want to go back and correct an answer, like you just were saying, Tony, you might need to go back into that document and then reformat it and all. So that gives why you guys have the extra 7 hours or so until midnight over the in-person students who have to turn in why leave to go home because then it's late. Well, I can't accept it after that because people could go home and cheat. So the in-person classes have a lot less time in real time, but they still get time and a half if they need it. I just want you to know that in case you take one of my classes. I love teaching in person. I much prefer it. I know, how old school can you get? But then I can look at a person, answer their questions, physically look over whatever it is they have that they want to bring to class, or give them more individual time, as well as perhaps meet with them before, after class, or well, not after, I have to head home during the break or before class in person if they want to use my office hours for the in-person class. I do that face to face, or I could do it just by email, of course, for any student. But anyway, the point is you guys got more than enough time to double check your answers and make sure you got everything the way you want before you submit. Okay, I think we've covered everything pretty thoroughly, but one more time, hopefully I've answered all your questions, and this is going to be, of course, posted. I'll probably do it by Thursday, before like late Thursday. You know, I have some things to do in the evening, so you could start checking Friday morning, and it'll probably be on YouTube. In fact, I think I'll just go ahead and do that, and I'll send you an email to remind you that. And then within the next 2 days, by Saturday this weekend, you'll get the test PDF itself. All right, we've covered everything, I think. Good luck, you guys. I look forward to seeing your papers. Hopefully, most of you, if not all of you, before midnight tonight, and then I'll confirm getting them if you request that from me. And then, of course,
Hi, can you hear me, Mark?
yes,
Oh, hi, I'm sorry. I think I had myself muted. I was trying to talk to you. I just had a question regarding terms. So how many terms are there going to be on
well, I
the?
just went over it. Were you here for that? It was a total of
Well,
9, and we
I was here. I took, I think we removed some.
3, yes, and
Yeah,
we just had
remove-
them on the screen, right? And I said them twice. You need me to repeat them? I will, but
No. I have the ones that we will not be covering, but how many are we getting tested on? I'm sorry if that's obvious and I
that's
missed.
okay. There's 6. There were 9, we cut 3, that leaves 6. And out of those, only 5 of those, so it's most of them. You just should
Got it.
study those 6 terms.
All right, I'm sorry.
Everybody got
Okay.
that? That's okay. Yeah, everybody has now the same list, yeah, for, it's just 6 terms. I usually have more than that, but I've decided to cut down on the terms because there's enough other things with the
Right.
slide IDs and the, analysis part of the tests.
All right, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All righty, how are we doing? Because we're now about where we would almost be, where we normally end class. One more time. Any other urgent questions? I will be checking my email, not tonight, but tomorrow, with questions again on Friday and Saturday. I am going to the exhibit in the city again with a friend who is really a Egyptophile, isn't that the right word? That loves ancient Egypt. And we're going to be at the museum all afternoon to look at the Dion I'm talking about. So if you have a question for me on Sunday, give me until Sunday evening by, say, 8 p.m. to get back to you. Okay, because I'll check my email after I get home, and traffic from San Francisco to Berkeley, you never know on a Sunday. So give me till 8 p.m. If you haven't sent me any questions that you need an answer to by early Saturday evening, then you'll have to wait till, it could be sooner, but by 8 p.m. on Sunday. And that's the last time I'm going to check my email before the test. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you have an urgent question, you need to get to me before 8 p.m. on Sunday. I think we now have literally covered everything that we need to. Okay, everybody, good luck. I'll look for your papers by midnight tonight, and I'll see you all on Monday, and log in by 3:05 so that you have plenty of time to take a deep breath, center, focus, whatever it is, have your notes in front of you, and the first slide will appear on the screen at 3:15, and you'll get that confirmation reminding you of the time frame for the exam on Monday. So I'll see you all again on Monday afternoon, sometime shortly after 3 o'clock. Okay.
Emily,
All right.
call me.
Will do.
Okay.
Okay, this is Tanya.
Yeah. Okay. You guys have your own communication thing. All right. I'm going to sign off now. Right. One last time. Answered, I think, all the questions. All right, you guys have a good weekend. And look forward to seeing your papers, and I'll see you all for the test on Monday about 3:05 p.m. All right. Bye. Take care.